Okay, 25,000 plus. I mean, just think about that for a second. That is a massive, massive number. To put it into perspective, that's the number of runners from over 65 different countries who are descending on Vancouver this coming weekend. They're flying in, they're lacing up, and they're preparing for an event that is going to completely take over the entire city. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the 2026 BMO Vancouver Marathon. But we aren't just looking at the finish lines or the personal bests. What's absolutely fascinating about an event of this scale is the invisible machinery operating just beneath the surface. We're going to explore how a world-class sporting event like this relies entirely on the rapid, flawless mechanics of a city's public transit system. Because honestly, without it, the city simply stops. So here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. First up, Vancouver's biggest running event. Second, a world-class marathon route. Third, the massive transit strategy. And finally, number 4, the teams making it happen. All right, let's jump right into part 1, Vancouver's biggest running event. Now, look at the stark ratio going on here. On one side, we have over 25,000 runners taking up the bulk of the footprint, coming in from over 65 countries. It's a huge showcase of diversity and sporting spirit. But here's the thing, they are entirely supported by a vital slice of 3,000 dedicated volunteers. You just can't have an influx of international athletes without a localized army of people on the ground, handing out water, managing the crowds, and keeping the gears turning. It's like a giant human puzzle. And that dynamic carries right over to the organizations running the show. The actual organizer is a local, volunteer-run nonprofit called RunVan. But to pull off the whole shebang, they need some serious backing. Enter the title sponsor, BMO Financial Group. We're talking about North America's 8th largest bank with $774 billion in assets and 12 million global customers. It brilliantly illustrates the partnership required here. Grassroots, local passion, paired with just massive global financial infrastructure. Moving on to part 2, a world-class marathon route. This is not just some boring jog down a highway, no way. This is a legendary 42.2-kilometer battlefield. It starts over at Queen Elizabeth Park on Midlothian Avenue and weaves its way through really distinct communities like South Vancouver, Dunbar, and UBC. But the real draw for the runners, 70% of this race features shoreline views. They pass snow-capped mountains, cherry blossoms, and traverse the world's longest uninterrupted waterfront path before finally crossing the finish line at West Pender Street. It is breathtaking for sure, but it also cuts right across the city's vital arteries. So how on earth do they manage all this without causing total gridlock? Well, timing is absolutely everything. Notice how heavily staggered the events are. The weekend actually kicks off on Saturday at 11 a.m. with the kids' run inside Stanley Park. But Sunday is the main event. At 7 a.m. sharp, the half marathon starts. At 8:30 a.m., the full marathon begins. And then at 9:30 a.m., the 8 km race kicks off. Staggering these start times is a critical piece of the logistical puzzle. You simply can't have 25,000 people descending on a single starting line at the exact same minute. Which brings us perfectly to part 3, the massive transit strategy. Just take a look at the sheer volume of these routes. I mean, wow. These aren't just random numbers. These are all the bus routes that require immediate detours over the weekend. TransLink has to literally rewire the city grid. From Route 2 to the R4 Rapid Bus, the footprint this marathon leaves on Vancouver's transit network is absolutely staggering. When 70% of your marathon borders the shoreline and weaves through major neighborhoods, the buses just have to get out of the way. TransLink proactively manages this massive disruption to make sure the city doesn't completely paralyze itself. Now, for most of us, a regular Sunday morning means sleeping in, right? On a normal weekend, the SeaBus doesn't even start its engines until 8:02 a.m. But on Marathon Sunday, they are firing that thing up at 6:02 a.m. That's a full 2 hours earlier, with sailings every 30 minutes straight out of Lonsdale Quay. They have to run an entirely different schedule just to get the runners across the water before the sun is even fully up. And the SkyTrain network, it sees that exact same amped-up response. The Expo line kicks off at 7:06 a.m. The Millennium line starts even earlier at 6:56 a.m. And the Canada line, which is a major artery for this event, isn't just starting early. They are actively deploying extra trains to absorb the influx of runners. TransLink is literally injecting extra capacity directly into the system, exactly where and when it's needed the most. So what's the absolute crucial takeaway for you if you're a local or fan heading out? You cannot rely on your normal routine, period. TransLink's advisory is loud and clear here. Plan ahead. Whether you're using the trip planner, signing up for transit alerts, or literally dialing 604-953-3333 in a city that's operating on a temporary, highly customized grid, real-time data is going to be your absolute best friend. All right, let's wrap things up with part 4, the teams making it happen. When you zoom out and look at the sheer scale of TransLink, it kind of clicks why they're perfectly equipped to handle this kind of chaos. Formed back in 1999, they employ more than 9,000 British Columbians across 21 different municipalities. But the defining metric, the one that really blows your mind, they handle 400 million riders annually. So yeah, moving 25,000 runners and their supporters over a single weekend is a huge puzzle. But for a team moving 400 million people a year, they've got the exact expertise to solve it. And they pull the whole thing off through a highly interconnected network. The South Coast British Columbia Transportation Authority, which, by the way, is TransLink's official name, doesn't just run buses. Their network integrates the SkyTrain, the SeaBus, the West Coast Express, and even their own transit police. It's one giant, unified machine, working in complete sync so that our world-class event feels totally effortless to the people running it. You know, we usually just focus on the runners, right? The medals, the finish line tiers, but the real magic is this invisible logistics web making the whole thing possible. So think about your own hometown for a second. When a massive event rolls in, what invisible gears have to turn to keep everything from falling apart? How does your city move massive crowds without breaking a sweat? Keep that in mind the next time you step onto a bus or a train. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.